Hello, viewers. It's Sensei Michael from Screen Reviews, bringing you a new podcast to my second code Super Sentai Review. And like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you don't understand me. Also, I try to do my best not to reach them hard during this audio podcast recording as well, not to cause any audio feedback, not to cause any audio feedback as well. And also, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change to adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change to adult language. If you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, that means you go to listen to this audio podcast sorry, I'm a tongue tied today. Anyway, once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change your adult language if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, then you got to watch this audio podcast recording. Now, with this out of the way, before I get into the latest episode of Gozyuger, I like to say sorry for the wait of sorry for the wait of this review, because the sub didn't really came out until today. So basically, usually I try to do the Sentai reviews once the subs come out, but sometimes the subs doesn't really come out. Usually a sub will come out on a Sunday, and then I review it and I review that sub on a Sunday and whatnot. But basically, you know how Sentai and Kamen usually the English subs always come out on the Sunday, but sometimes they come out very late. Usually on a Monday. So basically, sorry for the late review on this latest episode of Gozyuger. But anyway, let's get into the latest episode of Gozyuger. So basically, we see Ryoga and how basically out in the city, it seems like Ryoga bought Hal one of those corn dogs on the stick, and basically and Ryoga said that that will come out your next paycheck, and basically turns out that how basically Hal was helping Ryoga do some shopping for the cafe and whatnot. So basically Hal Ryoga bought Hal one of those corn dogs on the stick and whatnot. And basically while they was walking, this old man saw how Hal was eating the corn stick. He said that, oh, that young man over there eating that corn stick like that, he has no manners. Someone needs to teach him some manners. And basically that's when the note. That's when that's when the monster. That's when that's when the monster appeared from behind the man. He said, I can help you with that, and basically grabbed the monster and basically absorbed the old man, and basically appears into the world. And basically turns out this monster is called the Manners monster that want to teach people proper manners and stuff like that. So basically, he walked up to Ryoga and Hal, and basically Hal was very the monster was having. The man monster had some good manners. It introduced himself to Hal and Ryoga, and basically Ryoga was a very Ryoga has some good manners as well, and whatnot, and nicely greeted himself to the Banner Monster. But Hal was screw this, screw this, don't be nice to, don't waste manners on this damn monster. That's my fault, and destroy it. And basically, that's when the Banner Monster puts a necklace onto Hal. On how every time he does things without any manners, the necklace has this gravity effect. So every time, how Inuyasha has that necklace on his had that necklace on his neck. Every time Gomi told Inuyasha to sit, he always fell to the ground because of the power, because of the gravity power of the necklace and whatnot. So basically, every time that Hal does anything without any manners, the power, the gravity power of the Nexus forced him to fell to the ground and whatnot. So anyway, it seems like things were starting to get even weirder after out of nowhere we see a Red Ranger ball whistle, and all of a sudden the monster Ryoga and Hal couldn't move for a second, and basically turns out that the Red Ranger was the Red Racer, and turns out she was a girl. So basically, the Red Racer, so basically another Red Warrior showed up, and this time she was a female who had the power of the Red Racer from Carranger, and basically she had the ability to temporarily freeze people every time she blows a whistle. She has she has the ability to temporarily freeze people in place once she blows the whistle, temporary to free people in the press. And basically, Ryoga recognized the voice of this Red Warrior, and he started to get scared. And basically, this is the so basically, the Red Racer Ranger fought off the Mana Monster and sent him flying over the city with one kick. And basically, and other time, and and the Red Racer demorphed, and basically, it turns out she was a maid. So basically, turns out that Ryoga knows this this maid girl, and basically he told Hal to run, and basically what do you mean run? She just helped us, she just saved us, and basically about the time that about the time that Hal turned into Ryoga, he already went away from the maid, and the maid was I'll catch you, master, young master, and basically and chase after him. And start to chase after Ryoga. So basically, Ryoga managed to get back to the cafe, thinking that he lost the maid girl, and basically when he got inside the cafe, Kenji said that, oh, we got a customer looking for you. The maid girl was there, and basically it turns out she must have used the super speed of the Red Racial Ring, of the Carranger Ring, to get to the cafe first before Ryoga. So anyway, how managed to how finally showed up at the cafe, and basically turns out that Ryoga is actually rich. Um, Turns out the maid works for Ryoga's family, and also Ryoga is actually rich. His father is a doctor and whatnot. So basically, the maid girl named Shoko, yeah, that's her name. If I pronounce her name on piece, get the Shoko, the maid who worked for Ryoga's family, came to bring Ryoga like she came to bring Ryoga back to his family. But Ryoga said that I'm not going back. I'm not going back home. I don't want to become a doctor just like my father and whatnot. So basically, seems like Ryoga doesn't want to be a doctor like his father. Pretty, pretty much. It seems like Ryoga and his dad must have fallen out with each other and whatnot. What he wants to do with his life and whatnot. So anyway, Ryoga made it clear that I'm a lawyer servant of the Tegasaur, and basically I'm gonna do I'm gonna do whatever the Tekken tells me to do until my task is done. So basically, he made it clear. Shoko, that I'm here to serve the Tekken, until my duty's done. I'm not coming home. I'm not becoming a doctor. I'm not becoming a doctor like my father. To make it clear to Shoko. So anyway. So basically, we said that but I you excuse me, me and my comrade, had to find a monster. We need to find that monster that is in flying, and deal with it once and for all. We see Miss Meanwhile, back at the badass headquarters, we see Kale, we see Kaon, just hanging out at the headquarters, and Miss Baker had this big shrine for Rico, the Blue Ranger, and basically, and Kaon, Kale, who is how his father recognized that. Oh, 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 that's the Blue Ranger. So basically, Miss Beckett still doesn't know that Riku is the Blue Ranger of the Go User. So basically, he's like, she probably doesn't know that. So basically, instead of telling her the truth about Rico being a Go User, he's like, hey, I hope that I hope that I hope that you and Rico will finally get together and whatnot. And basically, like he just decided not to tell her the truth about Riku not be he said not to tell Miss Baker the truth about Rico being the Blue Ranger. Instead, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna mess with her. So basically, that's what he's doing. So basically, so basically, we call it. I mean, K-Con, K-Con, how his father was like they started to mess with Miss Frankie, not telling her the truth about Leo being a gold user or whatnot. So anyway, Miss so basically, Mr. Shiny Knife and Miss Sweetcake walked in with a Sentai ring, basically the Geek Man Sentai ring. So basically, it turns out. So basically, they want to use this ring against the Rangers. So basically, it turns out that Mr. Shiny Eyes and Miss Fruitcake had found had attained the guy in the ring, and basically he wanted Kaon to use it against the Rangers in the battle. So anyway, meanwhile. Meanwhile, the Madam Monster was caused into trouble in the city, and basically Riku and Hao caught up with the monster, and basically the monster challenged, challenged Ryoga and Hao to a mana competition, and basically this is the most silly competitions I ever seen. So basically, the mana monster and Ryoga was doing very well in this competition, but how being not being a well-mannered person was not doing very well in the competition. He did not he did try to show some manners, but he kept on messing up. So basically, when it came to the final round, when it came to the final round, Shoku showed up basically and basically started to fight the mana monster before they started to before the other Rangers started the final round, but the Mana Monster. But the Mana Monster was able to put a necklace onto Shoku, the maid Shoku, and basically temporarily took her out of out of commission for a minute, and basically, and that's where and that's when I had enough, and basically, he had the necklace that was with the gravity power around his neck. He was basically fighting the power of the grabbing necklace that the Mana Master put on him, and basically use it against him, and basically basically beat the crap out of the Mana Master, and Ryoga and the Mana Master was about to was was about to have about to was 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 engaged in the final fight, and that's when Mr. Shiny Knight and Miss Sweetcake showed up with a giant mecha that was piloted by one of a foot soldiers, and basically, and the other rangers showed up. So basically, Rio and Samsumi was busy fighting Mr. Shiny Knight and Miss Sweetcake, while Kinjin was fighting the Mecha Monster that was piloted by a foot soldier, and Ryoga was fighting the Mana Monster and whatnot. So basically, mm, God, so basically, Kaon showed up and basically transported to God, and basically transported to God Gogo. But before he showed up, Sub-Tibu used her powers to, every time she has the power to touch somebody and basically and read that person's mind, and basically she found out about the Giga Man ring, and basically managed to steal it from Mr. Shining Knight and Miss Sweet Cake. So basically, Samsumi, the Black Ranger, is able to touch somebody and read that person's mind, and basically he found out about the Giga Man Sentai Ring that Mr. Shiny Knight and Mr. K had on them, and basically she managed to take the ring from them, and that's when Rio transformed into Red, used the power of the guy in the ring, and basically was about to take that Mr. Shiny Light and Mr. Cat, and that's where Chaos show up and transform into God Gordo, and basically started to fight against Samsumi and Rio. KJ was able to destroy the mecha and the foot soldier monster and whatnot. So basically, KJ, using the power of the Tegazord Green Megazord, was able to destroy the mecha and the foot soldier that was piloting that mecha, and basically that was it for Kinjin. Now, as for Ryoga managed to free the old man from the Mana Monster, and then destroyed the Mana Monster, and basically things was all right. But that's when Shoko showed up, and basically was begging him to come back to come back home with her, and basically we all made it clear once again that I'm not coming home, and basically all of a sudden, after he after saying it for a second time, Shoko Sentai Ring started to glow black, and basically she turned into the ultimate version of Red Racer, Berserker Red Racer. Like, how those Japanese delinquent schools delinquent dress like that. She had this red, she had this red jacket and these red pants, and what like a looking like a looking like a Japanese delicate school. Side blah. So basically, Shoko's wings start to go black, and all of a sudden she transforms into this weird alternate form of Red Racer, look like a school delicate. Look basically like she had this jacket, these pants, never watched those, never watched those, you know, never watched those shows about Japanese schools. All the bad kids always have these jackets with the gang, with the gang logo on it and whatnot. So basically, she this. So basically, like shit is. So basically, this ultimate form of Red Racer called Red Berserk Red Racer. She had this weird bat. She had this bat. In this form, and forced Ryoga to de-transform, and Ryoga got scared once again after seeing Shoku transform into this weird Red Racer berserker form, and basically it seems like Ryoga is in some trouble, and this is how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, we finally got some details about Ryoga. We know that he's rich. He doesn't want to be a doctor. He doesn't want to be a doctor like his father. That tells us that him and his father must have some type of falling out at some point, and basically, and basically seems like his maid Shoku does have feelings towards Ryoga. So basically, we got some more detailed information about our favorite, about Ryoga in this episode. So anyway, we got to think about the latest episode of what do you guys think about the latest episode of Gozyuger? Good, bad, or just okay? Please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, signing off from Screen Reviews. One.